So for everyone struggling, these mods are a must. Besides the stun and freeze immunity, you need chill immunity, which you can craft on your boots, and hinder immunity, which you can get by corrupting a jewel. So the new Delirium debuffs are Paralyzing Touch, reduces action speed by 6% per stack. Wasting Touch, reduces life and ES recovery rate by 9%. Eroding Touch, increases damage taken by 6%. And Diluting Touch, your flasks have less effect and less charges gained. Debuffs can stack, which possibly can become very problematic, and in a development manifesto they address these debuffs. The funny thing is, having played my Berserker Heavy Striker, I actually had no problem with these debuffs at all. Let me show you the most threatening thing, especially for melee builds. Hey everyone, I've been playing Delirium since launch and I wanted to share my experience and some information which hopefully help you enjoy the game more. To frame the entire video, I've been playing a Berserker using Heavy Strike and Cesspool Protector in standard Delirium. So I've truly been in the middle of the league mechanic as a melee character playing all the way to endgame. Now that you understand where I'm coming from, let's start with how the Delirium mechanic functions. You enter the gate and an area of fog starts to spread. The entire thing starts moving, and in the fog the new Delirium monsters appear. Monsters touched by the fog become stronger, and many different debuffs can occur. The deeper you follow the fog, the stronger the effects become. All this was revealed in the trailer already, but what I want to share with you are what some of these debuffs are and my experience with them, because it seems like there have been many complaints about this league. So the new Delirium debuffs are Paralyzing Touch, reduces action speed by 6% per stack. Wasting Touch, reduces life and ES recovery rate by 9%. Eroding Touch, increases damage taken by 6%. And Diluting Touch, your flasks have less effect and less charges gained. Debuffs can stack, which possibly can become very problematic, and in a development manifesto they address these debuffs. The funny thing is, having played my Berserker Heavy Striker, I actually had no problem with these debuffs at all. Let me show you the most threatening thing, especially for melee builds. The worst debuffs in my experience are actually the Time Anomaly Zone, Hinder, Frozen Ground, Chilled Ground, Vortex. Yes, all three of these are different things. Grasping Vines, Grasping Tentacles, and Slow Aura. None of these were mentioned in the development manifesto. Why were these debuffs worse? The worst experience I had in Delirium was when I was clearing a map very comfortably at my Heavy Strike pace, until suddenly I was slowed so hard I felt like I was perma-stunned and I wasn't able to move for 5 seconds and then died. I couldn't attack, nor could I walk away. I had many encounters in the beginning where my damage fell off because of the debuff, but back then I believe maybe if I invest in more damage I can then deal with it. For the slow, on the other hand, I didn't even know what was happening. I had stun immunity, freeze immunity, and a bunch of attack and movement speed. So I've decided to investigate, and I found out that there are 8 debuffs that slow you down. All of them are different unique slows, meaning they can probably stack. Once I figured this out, building against those debuffs made Delirium actually very enjoyable. So for everyone struggling, these mods are a must. Besides the stun and freeze immunity, you need chill immunity, which you can craft on your boots, and hinder immunity, which you can get by corrupting a jewel. Chill or hinder alone isn't that much of a big deal, but if you stand on a puddle of hands, which gives you the Time Anomaly debuff, and in combination with the Delirium debuff Paralyzing Touch stacked up, and Grasping Vines, suddenly you are unable to move. After this, get more damage, which isn't that hard with the new jewels, and the Delirium encounter should be fine. The only things that will be problematic are the shotgun mechanics, but these mechanics aren't specific to Delirium and should be avoided anyway. Some other debuffs that occur frequently in Delirium that might be interesting are the newer elemental ailments such as Sap and Brittle. I can highly recommend ailment immunity this league, not just freeze immunity, but immunity to all ailments. Many ascendancies can offer this, but as I said, getting rid of chill and hinder already goes a long way, and understand that the other slowing effects are on the ground or auras. Positioning is key here. What are my thoughts then on Delirium? The mechanic itself is something I believe Path of Exile really needs, but it is very problematic as a league. Leagues generally have a certain issue with content that are aimed for a specific stage of the game. Delirium seems to be very endgame focused. It's supposed to make the existing mechanics harder. Of course, it makes no sense when Act 9 enemies suddenly become as strong as map enemies, but having the layer on a tier 16 map or even higher with the Cyrus Watchstones opens a new stage of content. This means having problematic early game experience might be forgivable once you realize the endgame content becomes deeper. The only thing I would change about Delirium is the reward. I wouldn't increase it, nor would I want to change the rates. What I'd love to see is a new crafting item. I would love to see a Delirium Exalt that can add a mod to the cluster jewel, which lets you mix the notables such as Herald effects with Warcry effect. Make them as rare as Exalts or even rarer, and when you slam the jewels the added mod is weighted. You could add a crazy new notable or just get another jewel socket. Because of the potential new type of Exalt exists within every Delirium, running less rewarding ones won't feel as bad anymore because the potential Exalt exists. Honestly, I don't even think the rewards are that bad, but tests have to be done in order to make a definitive statement. Because the league is aimed for the extreme endgame, rewards are difficult to set up. I believe one of the biggest problems are actually the icons. If you think about the icons, they started with Legion League, and the weapon armor ones weren't exciting. In Blight League, the same icon was used, and that loot wasn't exciting either. Metamorph, on the other hand, had the same useless icon, but that icon suddenly had a chance to drop a 6-linked armor or weapon, and suddenly that icon wasn't always bad. That was a very rare occasion though. Because a lot of players have played Legion and Blight, the connection between armor and weapon icon and the potential loot that is gained is a very negative one. In Delirium, while having the weapon icon, the Delirium loot gave me a 6-linked unique bow. Now this could have been entirely RNG, but if the icon could possibly be a source of 6-linked items, just like in Metamorph, maybe many people are now underestimating the potential loot from Delirium. Since none of this actually is communicated in-game, and the weapon armor loot actually might be very undesirable, a negative reaction to this is understandable. I personally had issues with the league in the beginning, but having reached the endgame, I think the league in itself is actually interesting and not everything is supposed to feel good at level 1. Anyway, this is the end of the video. If you like delving deeper into Path of Exile or games in general, subscribe, leave a comment or join me live on Twitch. Have a nice day and I hope this was helpful. Oh, ouch. Weapon will go all hammer to death. Ouch. Ooh, he's tanky. He's fucking tanky, man. I mean, oh, I can kite him somewhat. Oh, maybe not. Splinters and splinters. Oh, it's charged beastone. Oh, extra beastone, nice. Catalyst distances. What should I know?
slow again. Oh my god. Oh, okay.